What is going on, everybody? AHS Rules back again with another video, and we're here with another Ring of Honor Wrestling TV review, and this is potentially the biggest episode of Ring of Honor this year. And, you know, we've got a month left. Let's see if they can top it. But a lot took place on this episode of Ring of Honor television. Most notably, the in-ring ROH debut of Ronda Rousey. We also had a pure title match. We had several four-corner survival matches. So let's get right into it. Before we start, this is a little side note. Yesterday was Thanksgiving / Black Friday. Today is Black Friday. Black Friday is kind of a week-long thing now, but this is the biggest time of it. And you know, I won't lie to you, I was tired as hell, and by the time I got to watch this episode of ROH, I was extremely tired. So this episode was an hour 30 long. I took a nap in between it. You know, I was at the point where I couldn't handle it anymore. The older I've gotten, the more I've needed to sleep, and so I had to take a nap during this. So it took me like double the amount of time to watch this. So that is side note number one. Side note number two, and this is the important news. This is ROH related. The aftermath of Full Gear. This is covered in the episode, but I'd already wrote it at the top, so I'm going to cover it now. But Eddie Kingston successfully retained his Ring of Honor World Championship against Jay Lethal at the Full Gear 0 hour. And then later on in the show, he would go on to announce that he'll be participating in the Continental Classic Tournament for AEW. But he is upping the ante and putting his Ring of Honor World Championship and New Japan Strong Openweight Championships in that tournament, and the winner of the tournament will be the AEW Continental Champion, the Ring of Honor World Champion, and the New Japan Strong Openweight Champion to make a triple crown. ROH side of things, I would imagine there will not be a ROH World title match at Final Battle, as this tournament does not conclude until December 30th. Final Battle is 4 Fridays for now, and I only know that because they said it on the broadcast. So that's a bit of a bummer. But if you look who was in the tournament, loaded. So I don't think there's a wrong answer with who could be our next or still Ring of Honor World Champion. So that is a good thing. I am heavily advocating for Bryan Danielson, but we shall see how that goes. Next, the other thing that happened at the Full Gear 0 hour is MJF and Samoa Joe defeating the Guns to retain the ROH Tag Team Championships. You know, Adam Cole and MJF are ROH Tag Champions. Samoa Joe subbed in for the injured Adam Cole, and now those two will be facing off at World's End. But again, Ring of Honor related. Will we see a ROH Tag Team title match at Final Battle? We shall see. I have my doubts, but you know, if it happens, it happens. So now we move on to this episode of Ring of Honor Wrestling, and the first matchup is a pure title match of Katsuyori Shibata versus Trent Barretta. The judges for this bout were Jerry Lynn, Madison Rayne, and Jimmy Jacobs. Trent attempts a pinfall while being launched into arm scissors, but eventually has to use a rope break. After this, Shabata targets the arm of Trent, which Trent hits a shoulder tackle and a running knee for a 2 count. Both men exchange forearms and chops afterwards. This eventually sets up a running drop kick by Shabata for a 2 count. A Shabata ankle lock uses Trent's second rope break attempt. Shabata hits an STO for a 2 count, but Trent cannot kick out of a penalty kick by Shabata, leading to Shabata retaining his pure championship. I won't lie to y'all, my nose gets extremely runny during these videos, and I just don't want it like a big snot bubble to appear, so I always have to wipe it away. I also should probably keep Kleenex near me, but I had to make note of that. Next, we move on to a 4-corner survival match. There are 3 on this episode. They all involved the women's division, the tag team division, and the men's division. So that was a nice thing to note. This one being the first one, the women's division. The matchup included Diamante, Trish Adora, Kiera Hogan, and Willow Nightingale. Diamante immediately goes to the outside while the other competitors are trying to pin one another. Diamante and Hogan dive onto the opponents on the outside, and then once they're back in the ring, they turn the attention to one another. Willow is hit with a power bomb, It was kind of in a Tower of Doom situation, but the person at the very top that would be suplexed did not. It was just instead Willow getting power bombed. Everyone starts using forearms on one another. Hogan and Diamante battle to the outside with Willow hitting the Babe with a powerbomb on Trishadora to pick up the victory. Next matchup is Tony Nese versus Ethan Page 2. This rivalry has been brewing for the past number of weeks. Tony Nese defeated Ethan Page in a singles bout after help from Smart Mark Sterling, and then Ethan Page has been advocating to get that rematch. He kind of got the rematch against Josh Woods, but the same thing happened. Ethan Page fed up with it, helped Serpentico defeat Tony Nese, and that was enough for Tony Nese to finally butt in and give Ethan Page this rematch. And he is very focused in this episode as there's no group training, and when the bout started, he was aggressive early on, taking the match to the outside. Page passed a power out of a body scissors, and that he is able to hit a slingshot cutter, but it only gets a 2 count. Sterling argues with Aubrey Edwards, which causes a distraction and leads to Tony Nese getting hit with a big boot and Ethan Page picking up the victory. But afterwards, Tony Nese is furious and attacks him. And I'll go ahead and cover it now because both men have interviews later, and they essentially say the same thing because both of them are frustrated. They're also 1-1 in the series. Tony is frustrated about picking up this loss. Ethan Page is frustrated with still having to deal with him and not getting enough respect, and just he wants this to be over with. So I imagine a third bout will take place at some point. Next, another 4-corner survival match. This one being in the tag team division involving the Workhorsemen, the Iron Savages, the Infantry, and the debuting West Coast Wrecking Crew. Bravo and JD Drake are the first 2 legal men in the match, and I will just tell you this now. A majority of this matchup was just tag team combos onto one person at a time. And the weird thing is, it felt like it was very much the Iron Savages in the match the whole time. Because every time I look, it would be Boulder in the ring, and he'd just be saying random ass stuff. But the Workhorsemen picked up the victory following a kick from Henry and a sidewalk slam. It was at the same time a kick from Henry that leads to a sidewalk slam from JD Drake to pick up the victory. So good for the Workhorsemen to get a victory. Also, this is a weird thing because I saw Anthony Henry tweet about this the other day. He's like, "Oh, I love being in the Workhorsemen, but I'd love to be Ring of Honor television champion." So I was like, "Oh, there's no TV title qualifying matches for the Survival of the Fittest this week. So maybe we'll see that next week. Who knows? But you got 4 Fridays from now." Next matchup is another Pure Rules matchup. This one being Lee Moriarty versus Wheeler Yuta. And earlier when I was talking about this, I said Utah. It is an inside joke with me. I like to specify Wheeler Utah. It's kind of a stupid joke that I have, but it's Wheeler Yuta. Essentially, we get a test of strength between the two to start this match off, with Moriarty targeting the shoulder of Yuta. Moriarty locks in a Border City stretch that turns into a Yuta pin. Moriarty hits a top rope suplex, and then afterwards, both men exchange closed fists, which both get a warning about. Yuta bites Moriarty, which sets up a series of elbows to the shoulder and a trap pin to pick up the victory. I believe Wheeler Yuta's he's been wanting to go after Katsuyori Shibata, who Shibata defeated him to win the Pure Championship. He's also teased going after Hook and the FTW title, so he's got his eyes on the goal. That's what your eyes should be on when you're competing in professional wrestling, but 2 at the same time is impressive. Next matchup, another 4-corner survival matchup, this one involving Lee Johnson, Jack Cartwheel, Willie Mack, and Fred Rosser. Cartwheel and Johnson hit a double drop kick on the Rosser, and that sends him to the outside, and then all the men are on the outside, and Jack Cartwheel hits a dive to the outside. Once back in the ring, Willie Mack and Rosser exchange forearms. This ends with a flying kick by Willie Mack. Johnson hits a Spicoli driver and moonsault combo on Cartwheel, and then Cartwheel's shooting star press attempt is reversed into a sky high by Willie Mack, and then they're pushed to the outside as Lee Johnson rolls up Fred Rosser to pick up the victory, while the Shane Taylor Promotions are watching and impressed that they're happy that he actually picked up a victory. And then now we move on to our main event matchup, Athena and Billie Starkz versus Marina Shamir and Ronda Rousey. And I'm pretty sure I neglected to mention the very beginning, the opening of the episode. It starts with Athena and Billie Starkz issuing an open challenge, and as they walk away, we see Marina Shamir appear, and then she gets onto her cell phone, and then we get the match graphic involving Ronda Rousey. The thing I I don't like about ROH, the thing I like about ROH is everything's announced, obviously. A majority of the time, everything is announced. And then, but we get to the TV episode, and so we see Marina Shamir, like, setting up the match, and then we get the match graphic. Also, prior to the episode, we already knew, hey, Ronda Rousey, is, like, they announced it on Twitter, we also saw the spoilers, but, like, they kind of half-ass it sometimes where they're like, they want you to be surprised, but it's just like, it's taped a week in advance, so it's not really a surprise. So here, you already know what it's inside the box of the president. A holiday reference there, but there we go there. But this is a rematch of a matchup that took place at Wrestling Revolver the night prior that this was taped. So last Friday, their first match was that Thursday night. And I believe that match ended in a DQ, so Ronda and Shafir won. I don't know. They didn't show the end of the match. Athena volunteers to start the match with Rousey, and then Athena throws kicks and punches to Shafir while the referee is not looking. Athena and Starkz keep Shafir on their side of the ring, but eventually we get a Rousey and Athena in the ring together. Rousey puts Athena and Starkz in submissions in the ropes, with Athena clotheslining her to the outside. Athena hits a slam on Rousey while Shafir is on her back, which was impressive. That was also on the outside. Rousey reverses Athena's O-face into an armbar, and then Starkz breaks this up with a swanton. All four women exchange forearms and kicks, with Rousey getting hit with a German suplex by Athena. Shafir slingshots Athena into Rousey into a Samoan drop for a 2 count, which if you've seen anything from this match on Twitter, that's probably what you saw. We get an assisted code breaker by Athena on Shafir, but the pin is broke up by Rousey. Rousey and Shafir both have ankle locks locked in. And then Athena does hit O-face on Rousey, but is not able to make the pinfall as Billie Starkz was a legal competitor, and then she dives onto Shafir on the outside, so it took a lot of time before a pinfall attempt was even attempted. But Starkz tries to hit a swanton onto Rousey, but is caught into an armbar, and then Shafir is holding Athena down on the outside as Rousey taps out Billie Starkz to pick up the victory for herself and Marina Shamir. And then the show ends with Ronda Rousey holding the Ring of Honor Women's Championship and handing it to Athena. This was about a 20-minute bout, which most ROH matches is about 10 minutes, so this one getting double the amount of time and being very good is a nice sight to see. I don't want to be that guy that's like, oh, are we going to see Ronda and Athena at Final Battle? But, like, she's not contracted by ROH. It's a by-date appearance thing. This is the first time, maybe all the time, that it happens. I definitely wouldn't mind seeing her back in ROH Icon. I have not had a problem. If you've heard me talk about Ronda Rousey on this channel, I'm one of the few wrestling fans that go, like, I don't really know the complete problem. I know a lot of wrestling fans have a problem with Ronda. If you were to ask me what exactly it is, I don't know what. I couldn't put my finger on it. I just kind of worry about the on-screen stuff. Outside the ring, that's fair. But the on-screen stuff is good. It's had its bad moments, but you can say that about a lot of people. So this being I will also say this. This is something that I've kind of harped on during this Honor Club era. You have this immense AEW roster. Majority of them are ROH alumni. And just a great majority of them don't appear on this ROH show and compete. Now, they don't have to do it full time. They can do it like once. But essentially, like I said, you're asking your fans to pay $10 a month for this, and nothing really on it has been like must-see worth the $10. This is probably so far the closest thing to it. I also imagine a lot more eyes and money will go towards Honor Club with Final Battle coming up. So I thank ROH for actually giving the fans their money's worth this time around. But like I said, hopefully we see Ronda back. I wouldn't mind seeing Ronda back. So we shall see what happens there. Also, kind of crazy. If you were to ask me at SummerSlam, Ronda is her next match is going to be technically it's in Wrestling World, but going to be in ROH. I wouldn't believe you, but here we are, and we shall see what happens next. So, hopefully you have a safe rest of the weekend. My Survivor Series predictions will be up at some point. I need to go take another nap, so I don't know when that'll be up. So, thank you for watching this video, though. Like, subscribe, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one.